So hello, let's continue our discussion of the slope-intercept form. And again, our goal is to write and also to graph linear equations in slope-intercept form. All right. So let's have a situation we're in. We will have to write an equation, but this time instead of us being given the slope or the intercept, we will be given 2 points. Okay. So it's kind of a little bit of a challenge here because the name itself, slope-intercept form, you should have the slope, you should have the intercept, okay? So what will be the slope-intercept form that represents a line that passes through the points 2, 1, and 5, -8, okay? So first step is, of course, we know that we need, so remember, our format should be y is equal to mx plus b. We need a slope, and we need an intercept, okay? Between these two, since we are given 2 points, slope and intercept, we can definitely find the slope, all right? So first, step number 1 will be to, where's that line? Sorry, my bad. Oops. Okay, there we go. So step number 1 is find the slope. Okay? Do you still remember the formula for the slope? Slope is going to be y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So in our case, it will be -8 minus 1 divided by 5 minus the x, which is 2. So we can see that here, our slope will be -9 over 3, which you can simplify as -3, okay? So for now, we already have our slope. So we already have something that is -3x, okay? So now, the question is, how do we find our b? So what we can do is, we can use the slope-intercept form, y is equal to mx plus b, and we will be inputting values for our y and for our x. Where are we going to get it? From our given points, okay? You can choose 2, 1. This is an x value, that's a y value. 5, -8, 5 is an x. -8 is a y value, okay? So you can choose between these 2 points, and you can put it into the equation, okay? So remember, it is y is equal to mx plus b. Do we have a y? Yes. Let's use 2, 1, okay? The y value is 1. We substitute the y of one of the points. So that's 1. Do we know now the m? Yes, we just previously solved that. That's a -3, okay? We are not inventing these numbers, all right? Do we have an x value? So go back to the point that we are using, 2, 1. The x value is 2, all right? And then we have a plus b. Do we have a b? No, all right? So now that you have an equation, how many variables are you looking for? You're just looking for b, correct? So you can simplify this expression. So this is going to be 1 is equal to -6 plus b. Using your skills on solving for a variable, you need to have to isolate the b. So in this case, you have to add 6 to get that canceled. Add 6. And so from here, your b is going to be equal to 7. So you have your m, you have your b. Can you now write your slope-intercept form? Definitely. So the slope-intercept form of the line that will pass through 2, 1, and 5, -8 will be -3x plus 7. Okay, so that is our equation. So remember, you find the slope, all right? Once you have the slope, you use one of the 2 given points and replace the value of y and x using the point, and then the m, which you have solved, so that you can solve for b, okay? So try the next example on your own following this same procedure, okay? So just to check if you fully understood what we did there. Go ahead, try this one out. All right, so this is the full computation, all right? So again, you have to first find your slope. That's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. In this case, this is my point number 2, and this is my point number 1, and so the slope eventually is going to be 1/2. The next thing is you need to find the y-intercept, and so what you do is you use 1 point and the slope. In this example, I used 3, -2 as the point. So I put them into the y equals mx plus b. The only thing that remained missing is the b. And so simplifying all of it, you will end up having b to be -7/2. And so, oh, by the way, just in case you are wondering, where did the -4/2 come from? Okay, so if you multiply your fraction, 1/2 and 3/2, the 3 will get to be multiplied to your numerator. So that's going to be a 3/2. You know that you have to isolate the b, so you subtract 3/2 on this side. So you will have a -2 minus 3/2. Because you are dealing with a fraction, you have to change -2 into a fraction form with a similar denominator, which is over 2. So think of a number that if you divide by 2 will give you -2. That's going to be -4/2. So it's -4/2 minus 3/2. It will be -7/2. And so the slope-intercept form, given the 2 points, will be y is equal to 1/2 x minus 7/2. Okay? So this next part is the nice one, okay? And this is going to involve graphing. So earlier we had a graph, we have to identify the equation. This time we're doing the opposite. We are given the equation, we have to find, or we have to graph the line. So our equation is y is equal to 2x minus 1. And you need how many points to create a line? You need 2 of them, okay? One of them is already in your equation, okay? So remember, point number 1, okay, will always be the y-intercept, okay? Find the y-intercept. In this case, we know that our point, that on the y-axis, there will be a point at y equals -1. That's your first point. So you will have a point over here, okay? Now, miss, how do we find a second point, okay? So to find second point, you use the slope, okay, which is your m, to find point number 2, okay? So you need to use the slope. And what is our slope? In this case, it's 2, okay? So the m is 2. Now remember this, it's always rise over run. Now because this is a whole number, what's the denominator? It's a 1. So you will have a rise over 1, which is 2/1, which simply means this is positive, okay? You will have 2 up and then 1 going to the right. Or if you go down, okay, 2 down, but you also have to go 1 going to the left, okay? So that's how you can find the second point. So you will have, so you go 2 up, 1 to the right. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 1 to the right. You got 1 point over here, okay? If you try to do it downwards, so you go 2 down, 1, 2, and then 1 to the left, and it's gonna be in this point. And you can see that it will be a straight line still, no matter which direction. So just be consistent with your rise over run. Remember, you have positive, so it should have the same direction. It could be positive, positive, negative, negative, okay? But the moment that you have a negative slope, you can only apply the negative only one time, either on the top or at the bottom, okay? So you know, it's gonna be a little bit difficult for me to create the line, but I will try my best, okay? So this is now, I'm so bad at this. So that is now your line for this equation, y is equal to 2x minus 1. So I know I have a copy of the graph on your guided notes, so try this next one on your own. Follow the steps that we have just discussed. Go ahead. All right, so our equation now, y equals -3x plus 4. Again, your first point is your y-intercept, so you will have a point at y equals +4. And then you use the slope. your slope is -3. So you have two options. It could be written as -3/1, or you write it as 3/-1. Okay, you cannot have both of them negative. This negative over negative is going to be positive. Okay, so whenever you have a negative slope, only one of them is negative. So if you choose -3/1, it's going to be 3 down, 1 to the right. Or if you have 3/-1, it's going to be going 3 up, going left by 1. Now, given the position of your point right now in your graphing area, I don't think it will be good for us to go up since we don't have any more graphing area to use. And so we will be using going down by 3 and then 1 going to the right. And so you will locate your next point here. You got 2 points. You simply connect your lines. Okay? So that's how easy graphing a linear equation with slope-intercept form. So let's have an application wherein we have a model function here. So we have water measure. Water pressure can be measured in atmospheres. That's the unit ATM. Okay. Use the information in the diagram to write an equation that models the pressure Y at a depth of X meters, and what graph models the pressure. Okay. So according to our details here, at 0 meters, the pressure is 1 atmosphere. Okay. Now, the pressure increases by 0.1 atmosphere for every meter. So in this case, since we are given 0 as our reference point, okay, our pressure is at 1, okay? So if the distance x is 0, then the Y value is going to be 1 atmosphere. So according to here, the pressure is depending on the distance, okay? So this, if X is 0, Y is equal to 1, this is now your Y-intercept, okay? So this is already your Y-intercept, okay? And then what will be your slope? Now remember, your slope is your rate of change. How much change happens every time. So the pressure increases by 0.1 atmosphere for every meter. So because that's a rate in there, then we know that the slope is positive 0.1. And so from these knowledge, we can write our equation to be, remember, it's going to be mx plus b, all right? So it will be, and so we already have our slope, which is 0.1, so we can put it in there. So 0.1 x, and our b, which is our y-intercept, that's going to be plus 1. Now remember, 0.1 is just the same as 1/10. Which means every 1 going to the going up will be 10 to the right. So your first point, as you can see here, it will be at 1, all right? And then every time you go 1 up, you go 10 to the right. It so happened that our units sideways is by 10. So your next point will be over here, okay? And then another one here, and you can connect all those points and you can create a straight line, all right? And so that's how you can get your function with real world problems. Make sure that you find what is the common change, like the rate of change, and then what will be your beginning value, which will represent your y-intercept. So try this next example on your own. Whatever we did earlier, try to figure this one on your own as well. Go ahead. So upon reading this problem, you are given 35 per hour. That will represent your slope, and the initial fee, which is 65, that's going to be your y-intercept. And so your equation will be 35x plus 65. And so graphing it, this is our number of hours of work, and this is the payment in total. For every hour that is being made, there will be an additional $35 on top of the initial fee, which is $65. So for every 1 hour, it's going to be 35 per hour addition, okay? And so to summarize our lesson, you can use the slope and y-intercept of a line to write and graph an equation of the line.